Nintendo makes some crazy commercials for their games like Super Mario, and after looking back at the 3DS and Majora's Mask here on the channel, I came up with an idea. Let's look at some crazy and wacky commercials Nintendo made for the Mario games. I went through hundreds of commercials to find the best ones. So, let's jump right in. Now an advertisement wants to grab your attention, and man oh man, Nintendo came up with some weird ideas during their early days. For example, this Super Mario World commercial where Mario does one crazy performance for the Super Nintendo and Super Mario World, and at the end, he gets burned by Bowser and runs off. I love this crazy dedicated performance here, and it's so over the top as well. And this wallet and grommet claymation style is also really cool. You rarely see this stuff anymore, which is a shame, because it looks beautiful. Now aside from crazy musical performances with unique animation styles, you also had crazy high-paced action commercials showing off kids having fun. Really in the 90s and early 2000s, a lot of movies, games, commercials, really anything media related, loved fast-paced cuts and absolute chaos. And this ad is a great example of that. It shows kids taking on the insane challenge of Super Mario World while all of them are pulling weird faces. Now I gotta say, the guy you can see right here pulls the best faces out of all of them. Truly artistic stuff. Really, I love this kind of stuff. And it's also the reason for including it in this video. Now you would imagine that commercials in the modern era are a lot more hyperactive than the old ones due to things like shorts, reels and TikToks ruining everyone's attention span. But surprisingly enough, the stuff from the 90s are king at this. And the advertisements for the All-Stars collection for the SNES are a great example. In record pace they will tell you about the amazing All-Stars collection you could get for free. And it's one crazy fever dream that overloads you with info in less than 2 minutes. This is so 90s, it's crazy, and I'm glad they don't make commercials like this anymore, because I would turn off my TV right away. When I came across this other Super Mario All-Stars ad, I saw this image, and I was instantly hooked. Look at this terrifying looking lizard boy, and he even talks. But apparently the fact that All-Stars is free is bigger news, and it will even be delivered to you by an alien. Again, another ad that tries to leave an impression on you by showing off insane stuff at high speed. And I gotta admit, it worked. This lizard boy is engraved in my brain for life now. Now right out of the gate, I will say, this one is really cool. It's basically a commercial for Super Mario Bros. 2 on the Game Boy. And in that game, you pick up almost anything you can find in the game and throw it at enemies to kill them. Which is exactly what is happening here in this airport. People are picking up plants, luggage, and even other people to throw at others. Meanwhile, the way they move is very animated, which looks sick. This is probably one of the best looking ads we will cover in this video. And I find it a really creative and fun way of showing off a core mechanic from the game. Now in the modern era, Nintendo commercials are kind of boring. They are quite cringy, plain, or forgettable. But sometimes they go for a more interesting approach that is similar to what they did in the past. And this Super Mario 3D Land ad is a great example. I also covered it in my 3DS retrospective video, and it reminds me so much of the others we have covered so far. It has that 90s chaotic energy due to all the things going on and jarring cuts. And it's just a Japanese man going down a pipe and running around as Mario. It's rather simple, but in many ways, it's a blast of the past. When Nintendo finally released the Wii and DS, they were in a tough spot. The last two consoles they released didn't do too well. Luckily enough, both consoles were a hit, and one of the biggest moneymakers was New Super Mario Bros. For the DS. However, they made some weird commercials for this game. Ads that you would expect to see in Japan, but never here in Europe or the US. Apparently, Nintendo sponsors original comedy, and this group did a little real-life New Super Mario Bros. Reenactment. As far as I could find, this is a form of black box theater combined with body and invisible theater. And it looks quite silly, but also pretty cool. They did a bunch of these, and all of them are rather short, just showing off things you would see in the game, like the effect of the Mega Mushroom. Certainly one of the more creative ads of that era, and something they would never do again. Now normally Luigi never gets any love, except when there's another Luigi's Mansion game to sell. But there was one year where this green little fella got a surprising amount of attention. When Luigi was 30 years old, Nintendo celebrated it with the Year of Luigi, releasing a number of products and games that were Luigi themed. One of those was a re-release of New Super Mario Bros. U, but with Luigi as the main character. And for this game, they made this weird commercial where Peach is calling for Mario, but Luigi ends up stealing the show. Aside from that, the commercial is rather bland. But this part was pretty funny to me, because normally Luigi doesn't get any love, and he isn't really a lady killer. But in 2013, the Year of Luigi, he was king. Now the last couple of commercials weren't very chaotic, but this next one is again from the 90s, so you know what that means. High-packed wackiness, where you are told again and again and again that Super Mario Kart is the most insane thing you will ever witness. I really love these commercials because all of them just throw info at you at insane speeds, and they have some of the weirdest edits ever that remind me of old PowerPoint presentations, like Yoshi flying across the screen right here. It's awesome. Overall, a lot of the commercials for Super Mario Kart were amazing, and this next one is my favorite, because the animation looks stellar and really hypes up the game. Just look at all these cool facial expressions, tense scenes and crazy crashes. To be honest, the only critique I have is that it's very disorienting. We go all over the place, but to an extent I get it, because they want to show off lots of action and all of it looks really good. We go all over the place, but to an extent I get it, because they want to show off lots of action and all of it looks really good. They should make an animated series about Mario Kart in this style. That would rock, but that will probably never happen. I mean, this commercial was never seen outside of Japan, as far as I could find. Now I also figured out that they made another commercial like the previous one, but it's not animated. Instead it's a real-life ad with people in costumes driving around in carts while a normal car hunts them down. And man oh man, this commercial screams early 2000s. It's just as weird and jarring as the music videos and movies of that time. It's also surprisingly scary. The scene where Toad is boarded into an ambulance and examined by a nurse and doctor is very unsettling. Now in the end, it is revealed that the Mario characters you just saw represent the 4 kids playing in the car. This cable play was a big feature for this new title that Nintendo wanted to promote. And while I don't really like this ad too much, it does effectively show what the game is about. However, this next one is even better. Nintendo also made a bunch of Mario Kart Super Circuit ads, with this group of old folks who are battling it out. And one of them always comes up with a clever way to cheat, which results in horrible injuries to say the least. Here Granny is pulled off the boat, in another Grandpa is set on fire, and in the last one this guy in the wheelchair is freaking killed. Really, these commercials were absurd, which was probably their tactic for grabbing your attention. They are memorable after all, and I gotta admit I also find them incredibly funny. Especially the first one on the boat, the way she gets dragged across and flips over the side is just perfect. Really, a great and memorable ad that is also bonkers. Now, of course, all the Japanese commercials are the weirdest out of all. Almost always, they are over the top, goofy, or just strange. Like, straight up confusing. And this next one is just like that. It's a Mario Kart Double Dash commercial where we see this Japanese man giving a rather hopeful speech with wind blowing through his luscious locks. But then you realize he's just in the middle of a drive-thru and looks like a crazy person to everyone around him. And then he just screams Mario Kart Double Dash. Really, it is out there to say the least. But I will admit that hopeful shot of him at the beginning looks great. One reason why I wanted to make this video is because sometimes Nintendo makes really fun and creative advertisements, which they did for this DS commercial as well. Now it starts off as American as it gets, people watching NASCAR races. But then one person becomes frustrated with it all and throws a drink at the screen, which flies through it and teleports to the racetrack, hitting one of the cars. And at that point, the whole situation escalates incredibly quickly, with everyone and their mom throwing anything they can find at the screen. Planks, surfboards, golf bags, and more. The only way this could be any more American is if somebody pulls out a gun. Now, all of this is just a setup to promote Mario Kart DS and the fact that it's a portable device with online play. But I just like that it escalates so quickly and people are literally picking up and throwing anything at the screen. Aside from that, the TV screen portal reminds me of the painting seen in Super Mario 64, but in real life. Overall, it's a wonderful ad. Now we all know that something went wrong with the Wii U's marketing campaign. However, signs of this could already be seen with the Wii, with this crazy car salesman ad being a great example. Sure, it's weird and wacky, but also a bit cringe due to the family-friendly edge that it has. But I quite like the enthusiastic salesman, because he reminds me a bit of Charlie Day and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's the same chaotic energy, which I love, and it does show off what the game is about and its new features rather well. But as time went on, these ads would become anything but fun. Now, Nintendo isn't the only company who can make some strange ads, because back when Mario Kart 8 came out, Nintendo did a collab with Mercedes, with their cars being available in-game. So those Germans had to let the world know that their new cars are for sale and in the Mario Kart game. So they made an ad where Mario drives around in the first level of Super Mario Bros, crushing Goombas and grabbing stars. But then the whole situation becomes even weirder, because it transitions to real life, showing off the car. And of course, Mario exits the car at some point, and man oh man, this version looks super cursed, almost as if it was made by AI. He's super buff and looks like a model. It is very unsettling, but luckily enough he walks into a Goomba and dies, because man, I can't live in a world with this thing. It all starts with the cops at the door, asking about a noise complaint due to a wild party, aka a Mario party. And the police officers are there specifically to arrest Mario, who is luckily enough animated and doesn't look terrifying this time. But even when he says,
"But it's me, Mario!"
Yeah, tell it to the judge.
They don't care at all, and he's still taken in. Now obviously Mario Party isn't as crazy as you see here. To be honest, I like the games, but I rarely find it worth $60. So this commercial didn't convince me. Now I love all the ads where they put random underpaid actors in Mario, Luigi and Peach suits and make them fight each other, which is exactly what they did for Mario Party 4. It shows the cast taking each other on in real life, by skiing off a roof, knocking each other senseless with pool noodles, beating the heck out of each other, and killing Yoshi on the highway. Really, it's a blast! And reminds me a lot of that amazing Super Smash Bros. Commercial for the N64, where Nintendo characters beat the ever-living daylight out of each other. It's just fantastic, because it looks so unprofessional and almost like an old Jackass skit. Pure chaos, which is actually very fitting. Now for later Mario Party games, they went with a very different approach that resembles the Mario Kart Double Dash advert in a way. We start off seeing a whole family enjoying the new Mario Party game on the GameCube. It's a truly beautiful moment. But then we get a bit of a weird image. Mario and Luigi shedding tears of happiness at the sight of this fun. And then it's revealed that they were hiding underneath the couch like a bunch of creeps, which startles the family. But then they introduce themselves and everyone calms down again. However, none of this is okay. But hey, at least the little chant they do is fun.
Otto Mario.
One of the more obscure titles Nintendo has ever released is Super Mario RPG, a Super Nintendo title that was a turn-based RPG with an epic adventure. Now, they never made a sequel, but the concept did live on in games like Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario. But how do you promote such a game? Well, back in the day, they decided that a weird old grandpa telling grand stories of Mario's adventure would be perfect. He rambles about all the challenges Mario faces and how he saves the world in the end. And at that point, the kids realize he is basically crazy. I mean, Grandpa even does this. So yeah, this is a weird one, and it's immensely confusing in the end. Now, when Nintendo finally released Mario and Luigi titles, they went with a new, even crazier approach. And I gotta say, it's awesome. It starts off with a bunch of soon-to-be dads getting ready to take care of their baby boy or girl by working on crucial skills like putting on diapers, bottle feeding, and putting a helmet on them so they can be shot out of a cannon. You know, the basics. Yeah, the last bit was included because in the new Mario and Luigi game, you play as adult and baby versions of our heroes. And you do shoot the babies out of a cannon, which was obviously the best thing to see in an advert. The ultimate shock tactic to sell any game. Now, anytime Nintendo made a real-world ad back in the day, they always had to go for something outlandish. A normal scenario that becomes absurd in the end. And of course, they did this for Mario Tennis as well. It starts off with two posh and cocky tennis players beating the Mario brothers in a game. But then, when one of them goes for a sip of water, it is revealed that the brothers sabotaged it and hooked a pipe up to a portable toilet from a construction site. So this man is tasting the finest juice in the land, the yellowest of drinks. Because as it turns out, the plumbers are sore losers. But man, do I love this simple but effective ad. Now, Mario Superstar Baseball is a game I had long forgotten about, but when I was looking for some fun ads, I discovered that literally all the ads for this game are amazing. They once again busted out the oversized suits, and it's filled with slapstick humor and not a single word is said. It's great. Especially the second advert where Mario plays the piano and gets hit by a baseball out of nowhere is hilarious to me. And they even blew up a car with a baseball. No CGI or anything, they really took a cabrio car and destroyed it, and Peach was apparently responsible. Really, these ads are some of my favorites by far. The next ad is probably the most chaotic thing Nintendo has ever made. Like my lord, it's just all over the place and goes crazy really fast. There are just a bunch of normal looking guys playing soccer, but then a bus filled with older tourists stops and they turn into feral monsters attacking them. They're beating the heck out of them, and one of them even goes flying as soon as he is hit by a ball. Really, the insanity starts right away. 0 to 100 in literal seconds. Just like the game it's trying to promote, Super Mario Strikers. Now for our final commercial, we will look at something truly disturbing. Something nightmare-inducing. A kid with a massive brain due to playing Mario's Picross, a puzzle game that was made for the Game Boy during the 90s. But this is like something straight out of an old Goosebumps episode. But I will say the practical effects do look fantastic. But by the looks of it, the girls dig it. So I guess I will have to grow my brain using uranium or something. But hey, this was the craziest thing I found by far, and those were all the fun commercials I could find. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe and also leave a like. It really helps. And let me know in the comments down below if you want more videos like this. I would also love to cover weird Zelda commercials in the future. So let me know.